Hello everyone, welcome to Michigan Man MTG, and today we're going to be playing Boros Aggro. I played this at the Star City Games Spotlight Series last weekend, and I ended up making day 2 and ended up 144th with it out of the 800 or so competitors that played over the weekend. So I want to go through the deck, play it a little bit, kind of give you an idea of what this style of deck can do in Standard against the Lessons and the Badgermole Cub decks. So at the 1-drop spot, we've got Burnout Bastronaut, and we also have 4 copies of Higher Claw. So kind of things we've seen in the Mono Red decks for a while. We also have 4 Emberheart Challengers. Kind of the change when we go from Mono Red to Boros as we bring Slickshot Show Off back. Great card, and there's a very powerful combo that I'll talk about in a minute we can do with Slickshot. And then we're also carrying 4 copies of Nova Hellkite. Alright, our burn package includes Burst Lightning, which we can do for 2 or potentially 4 damage. We've got 4 copies of Full Bore. We use this, we want to target something to increase its power and toughness, and we can do that. To target the Burnout Bastronaut. We can also target our Slickshot Show Off with it. A couple of copies of Shock, just to help deal with small creatures. And then we've got 4 copies of Boros Charm. And here, a lot of times, you're just going to be using it to do 4 damage to your opponent. But it also can give all your creatures indestructible. And in our combo, we're going to give our Slickshot Show Off, Double Strike. We're going to hit it first with a Full Bore. Then our Boros Charm gives it Double Strike. And now it's going to do 18 damage for us, or 16 damage for us because of that. And that's pretty powerful in Standard, where we're getting that much damage on one turn. So if you can pull that off, you can kind of one-shot your opponent. Okay, and to gain some life, we have 3 copies of Lightning Helix. It also deals direct obvious damage to their face, or can deal with, we use a spot removal to deal with some things on the board that are problematic. In our mana base, we've got 9 Mountains, 4 Inspiring Vantage, 4 copies of Sacred Foundry, 4 copies of Sunbillow Verge, and a Multiversal Passage. In our sideboard, we've got 3 copies of Soul Guide Lantern to deal with graveyards. We've got 3 copies of Iris Detonation, primarily for decks that are playing a lot of 1 toughness creatures, but also to deal with Preachers of the Schism and things like that. We've got 3 copies of Magebane Lizard to put in against the Lessons deck. Okay, we have Clarion Conqueror. This is the card I use very effectively against the Badgermole Cub decks because it turns off all of the mana abilities of creatures. And that would include a land that, with the Badgermole Cub, you've made into a creature. So now they're just 1/1 creatures, and they can't do a whole lot. And that won in the Spotlight series several games for me. And then I've got 3 copies of Sunspine Lynx for decks that are playing a lot of dual lands. Alright, so that's the deck. Let's get into some gameplay. We'll play first. Unfortunately, not a playable hand. So I got 1 land. Ugh, it gets worse. Because now we have Multiversal Passage and this. I guess I'll have to keep it because I don't really want to go down to 5 with this deck. So we'll call it red and play Hired Claw and go from there. Okay, we got it. All right, now we got 2 lands. Looks like they're playing an Azorius deck. So I'm going to go ahead and do this so we can get 4 damage through on this turn. Kind of trying to maximize the amount of damage we're dealing. Because they're likely to have a lot of spot removal and potential board wipes. Okay, so they're playing Jeskai Control. Which, this isn't a great matchup for us, so we'll just continue to put pressure on them with the cards that we've got. and see if they respond. Because I could kill one of these in response to this. Okay, yeah, they're going to kill that. Lightning Helix it. Yeah, and that's just such a brutal exchange there, where you know they've got it, you know you have to attack, but you always end up coming out behind in that situation. Okay, so we got our land here. I think what I'm going to do is this. Again, we're just going to work on pushing as much damage as quickly as we can. Get them in for 9, get them down to 7. And we've got Nova Hellkite that can come in for 4. So if we can get one more attack in with these, we should be able to get there. Looks like they're going to kill one of them, maybe. Alright, let's play Bastronaut here. The reason I'm doing this is to see if they have a counter spell. It looks like they've got something here. So I'm going to go ahead and just attack. And if we're lucky, we can get... Good, we got them down to 4. So as long as they don't gain any life, Nova Hellkite can win on the next turn. And I am kind of expecting a board wipe here at some point. And there we go. Okay, so we've got this one. And we can. And in this case, I'm always going to cast this for the warp, so that way my opponent can't take it out of my hand, nor can they just kill it because it's sitting on the battlefield. All right, going to game 2. Here we're going to go to our links. We'll go to our Magebane Lizards. Take a couple of our Burnout Bastronauts out. We'll take a couple of the Shocks out because they're just not going to be usable. And we'll take an Ember Heart Challenger out. And hopefully we can get through one more. Okay, we've got playables. We've got things we can do here. So I think we keep, even though the land isn't great. I'll say go here. We're not going to use the Burst Lightning now. We'll try to set up a big turn for that. Okay, and I'm going to do this. And the thing that I'm hoping here is that this leads them to not do anything on the next turn, because they're thinking that I'll get Slick Shot out, when in fact what I'm going to do is play Nova Hellkite. Yeah, see, they don't play the stock up. I'm going to play Nova Hellkite. They kill it, they kill it. And because they have a limited amount of spot removal, they've got to make a choice here. Okay, and they make the choice to kill it, which is fine. Okay, we'll see if they play something. They don't. Okay, so we're going to play this. We'll see if they will counter it. Again, we're just looking for any kind of damage we can chip in at this point, since we didn't get a fast start. And I'm going to do this primarily just to see if we can get a land off the top. It's possible they're just going to hit it with Get Lost, and you know, we've lost that map token, but we don't. We get it. Okay, so that's good for us, because that means we can play a Burst Lightning if we would need to, but I don't even know if we would need to. Okay. And we'll go ahead and attack with our Magebane Lizard. Okay, they're going to play that. And because it has the Ward Waterbend 4, it's just impossible to do anything against it. So we'll just accept the loss and do 5 damage this way. Okay, and have on the next turn Slick Shot available to us with 4 mana in hand, so we can 2 Burst Lightnings and a Boros Charm. You know, any kind of combination of stuff we're able to do here. And if they do attack with, I'm going to go ahead and probably kill that. Okay. All right, since this is clearly open mana, I'm just going to say go here. And on their turn, we'll go ahead and play multiple spells to kind of get them down to where we can maybe win the game on the next turn. Okay, so Lightning Helix you. Okay, we're not gaining any life, but that's okay. I'll Boros Charm you. To get them to 8. Get you down to 6 maybe if they don't counter this. Okay, and we'll put them in a position where we've got 5 damage in hand. And we'll just go ahead and attack with both, knowing that 1 damage is all we need. And we'll hit them with Burst Lightning. See if we can get a response out of them, since they do have 4 cards. Okay, they're going to Fire Magic for 1. Okay. I'm not sure why they did that. Okay, so they're going to Lightning Helix it. It still stops the life gain. And now we'll see if they've got another removal card. They do. So, just so they don't gain life, I'm going to hit my own. I know, and that seems silly, but preventing them from going to 9 and having their creature still survive. So that was a really bad set of circumstances for me, where they were able to, play 3 burn spells on the turn and wipe me out, and their guy, because of the silly water bending 4, is alive. So we just need something here that will allow us to win the game. I'm going to go right now, assume they don't have anything, and we'll see if they've got a counter spell here or they got a burn spell. And they do, so probably have lost this game, unfortunately. Them having all of this together, just really, really unlucky that they got that. They should have lost the game in those circumstances. And now we get a freaking multiversal passage. So that's not good for us. And now we're on a 3-turn clock here. So unless we get something, we're going to die here, unfortunately. And there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, nah, we're just dead now. And again, that's just bad luck on Arena's part. Just bad luck. Can't do anything about that, unfortunately. All right, so we go first this time. Okay, good. We got higher claws to go with early, so that'll help out a lot. We are at a slight disadvantage here because we only have 1 red source and all of our cards are red. Hopefully we draw into a second one here. That would be ideal. Okay, we don't. Okay, I'm just going to play a higher claw in that case then. Okay, we get the double trigger. We get them to 17. Okay, hopefully we can keep both of them in play. Okay, they're going to play Voice of Victory, which is a little bit problematic for us. I'm going to go ahead and attack here, and I'm going to use full bore, even though I've got the combo to win. I may use full bore if they're going to be silly enough to block here. I'm going to use full bore to take them out. Get rid of their Voice of Victory. that works for us. And then now we'll just go ahead and Emberheart Challenger. Hopefully you can get 6 damage through. Unfortunately, we're getting a little bit mana hosed here, but there's not a lot we can do about it. But we do have 7 burn in our hand, so getting one more good attack through can get us there if they don't have life gain. And of course they have life gain. Okay, so we have second Inspiring Vantage. Go ahead and plot Slick Shot. Play Burnout Bastronaut. We won't attack. And this is the unfortunate problem that we have with this deck, that these decks get to play on my turn almost exclusively, and because red doesn't have a way of shutting that off, it just becomes very, very problematic in the long run. I'm going to go ahead and play this. Basically, we're going to win or lose on this turn. So either we win because of our ability to get damage through here, or we're just going to lose. So either they have it or they don't. And unfortunately, we're in that situation where we just don't have an option. Okay. And they've got something for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pump this up so I can at least keep one of the 2 of them. Because I assume they're going to kill Slick Shot here, so getting the 4 damage through doesn't matter. Yeah. And again, it's just luck on their part that they always seem to have the right removal at the right time, and allows them to win the game. All right. We're going to put these on the Burnout Bastronaut. And we'll see if we can get something here. All right, we get that. We'll try again. Actually, let's cancel that. Try it there. And we got a Nova Hellkite coming. Trigger. So we can boost this Higher Claw up to protect us. Okay, they're going to play that. That's perfect. So we win here because they're not likely to double block Burnout Bastronaut. Okay, so Burnout Bastronaut, yeah. It's called Menace. Okay, so they're going to double block there. We get our 1 damage through, and we get to go ahead and burn them out. So that's the way this deck really performs well in this circumstance, where that's why in the previous turn I had to go for it, because I was able to get just enough damage through to get there on this turn. All right, nice victory. Yeah, the only reason I'm keeping this hand, even though I've got to pay 2 life here, and again, we're against another stupid lesson deck. The only reason I'm doing that is because I've got all these pump spells. I mean, if we can luck into some land here, God, this is so frustrating that they get their God draw. And I don't have enough resources to even play the game against them. It's just so frustrating that Arena will... And it's one of those they get a one drop here that they can play. They just blow me away, and the game's over pretty much. All right. The good news here is I do have the the combo that can, kill the opponent. And kill Grand. Because this is our only way in game one of slowing them down. Okay, and they're going to do that, which is fantastic for us because that means we're going to do a ton of damage on this turn. Too bad we didn't draw another land. Okay, we got him down to 5. And we do have lethal in hand. And the nice thing about this situation is they don't have life gain. So I'm not having to worry about them using a lightning helix and gaining some life. Okay, draw a discard. I'm going to wait. Alright, let's just win the game with Boros Charm. Yeah, and that's great for us. I'm going to go ahead and bring in our Magebane Lizards here. Burnout Bastardnauts will take out a couple of those. We'll take out a couple of Emberheart Challengers. I'm going to bring in all of my Soul Guide Lanterns so that way we can deal with them a little bit better. Take out a Boros Charm. Actually, let me leave the Boros Charm and let's take out a Shock. All right, we got 2 lands. That's positive. Let's see if they have a turn 1 removal spell. Looks like they do. Yep. And I'm going to wait here. Yeah. And I kind of felt like I had to wait just in case they had a counter spell. Because otherwise I would have just played Soul Guide Lantern there. Okay, so we got a Multiversal Passage, so that's great. We'll make it red, pay 2 life. I'm going to get this out here quickly. We're in an open clear spot, so we'll get 6 damage through. That'll go away. And then now we're in kind of a nice spot here where they're probably going to kill Hired Claw. Not much I can do about it. But Soul Guide Lantern I can play, hopefully on the next turn, and start eating their graveyard with it. Okay, they're going to boomerang it back. Throw something else into the graveyard. Okay. Okay, Slagstorm they're throwing back. That's interesting that they're throwing that card back. Okay, again, this is purposeful. No response there, so they were clear. They don't have a response. Okay, I'm going to get rid of Boomerang Basics because that's probably the card that is potentially the most destructive to me. Okay, and potentially we've got 8 damage in hand, so we can just get a couple of draws through, or attacks through, we've got a chance of getting them here. We'll see if they got their 5th land or not. Okay, they didn't get it. I'm just going to full bore here. And then we'll play this. Because at least it'll do a point of damage or two along the way before they can eliminate it. Hopefully at least 1 damage they can do. Okay. And again, we'll let them do the artist talent thing. Okay. See what they do. Okay, they're going to draw. We'll let that resolve. We'll exile the graveyard, so it's only 2 points of damage. So now they're going to have to do some other things. Okay, great. So you just did 2 more damage to yourself because I did that. So you're at 6 now. And I've got 6 damage in hand. So, and you're out of spells. So great turn of events for us there. And we'll just go ahead and attack here. Activate. Get them to 1, and then we'll charm them for the victory. Alright. So when Lessons doesn't go off like crazy and they weren't able to, then we can beat them. And I feel like it really takes nutso draws from them and bad draws from me to not be in this game. And I've had, obviously, we get those matches too. Now that we've got our gameplay in, let's take a look at what the deck has done. Overall, on Arena, I'm 13-6 with the deck. So very successful win rate, 68%, winning 76% on the play, 52% on the draw. And as long as you're winning more than half the time on the draw, I feel like a deck is pretty good in those circumstances. So I think Boros is relatively well positioned to continue to be a deck that sees play in Standard. Now, is it a top tier deck at this point? No, and I don't think we're getting anything from Lore and Eclipse that's likely to push it to that next level, but it's still a deck that people have to worry about, and if they're not prepared for it, Boros Aggro or Boros Burn can just burn you out of the game. So thanks for staying to the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe to get further content like this throughout Lore and Eclipsed, Standard Season, and beyond. Thanks. I'll see you in the next one.